much on my mind all the time. I need peace. I need.
Hey everyone, I'm Monty, and Channel 5 is reporting that Lego bricks withstand compression better than concrete. Did you know that? An ordinary plastic Lego little brick they talking about can support compression better or withstand it better than concrete. And if you've ever stepped on one of them bad boys in the middle of the night or walking around on the carpet and then see it on your bare foot, you will attest to that, because that is a pain that, wow, when you least expect it, stepping on that Lego, yeah. So I totally believe that. But all right, guys, let's get into it. We back. Great things coming again. Mighty Sharp Network, Maxon in the house, and we got to hit it back just in time, and let's go into it, guys. Very recently, O.J. Simpson passed away, and a lot to unpack there, a lot to deal with, a lot to talk about with that. For some in younger generations, first of all, some of the younger generations might not truly even know who that is, because it's even been so long since the trial and incident. And then from very older generations know him in a lot of different ways, okay? And when I say that, you understand O.J. Simpson was as big a star athlete as we had in America, you know, whatever, for LeBron, you know what I mean, LeBron James, things like that, or you know, now the young folks, Wemby, big time, you know, sports stars, you know what I'm saying, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Back then it was a lot more concentrated because people didn't have as much to watch. So when you got big back then, you were really, really big. And O.J. Simpson, out of California, went to USC, Heisman Trophy winner, an amazing football player in the NFL. At Buffalo, he 2,000 yards, and then he became this name. He became O.J. He wasn't just Orenthal James Simpson. He was O.J. And then he became one of the first big commercial pitchmen, especially one of the first black commercial pitchmen. And he was in commercials and Hertz. He basically built Hertz rent-a-car, you know, running through airports and all that stuff. And just TV, movies, getting, you know, all these things. Everybody knows this guy. He's one of the most famous people in America. And transcends to a lot of wealth for him, a lot of notoriety. But with that comes a lot of other things that, as we see, a lot of people just can't handle as much. And so by the time the murder of his wife, Nicole Brown, and Ronald Goldman happened, this was, if you would have asked me who I thought OJ was, I used to love these movies called the Naked Gun movies. And he was called Nordberg. He was these detectives and these goofy, Leslie Nielsen, these goofy movies. And I didn't really see OJ play, but I remember I knew who he was, and I knew him in the movies, and he was funny in the movies and things like that. And I knew he was a football star. I just never saw him. So I remember once the news that they had been murdered happened, I remember, and they were like, you know, OJ's away. He was not, you know, when I heard the news, they're like, he's away from California. I think he was in Chicago or something like that, and he's going to fly back. And I remember I was just thinking, like, man, that's terrible. I didn't know who his wife was at that point, you know, and I definitely did not know who Ronald Goldman was. And so it was just, you know, I remember just thinking, like, man, that's messed up. Oh, man, somebody killed his wife, you know. And just hearing that he wasn't even there, you know, and never in a million years even connected the two. I just remember at that first moment I heard that happen, I felt bad for him. Like, wow, man, that's terrible. And then things start to come out, like, well, you know, he's going to come in for questioning, you know, and that's, I'm sure, standard procedure. Yeah, they probably want to talk to him, you know what I'm saying, let him know, figure out what happened. I didn't even know they weren't living together at that point. You know, we didn't know, you know, it wasn't, we say this a lot about stuff back in the day, but there was no internet, really. There was no internet. to no social media to connect things. You just didn't look up where's OJ live and where's, you just literally went off what you heard from the media. That's it. And so then it starts to kind of, and it wasn't really just capturing attention yet. It was just like, man, that's a terrible thing. I hope, they figure out, who did it, whatever. And you just go about your day. And then it happens that, because I definitely remember this because the NBA finals were on. And this was in 1994. It was the Knicks and the Rockets. Michael Jordan was not in the NBA, but he was retired. So it was just, it was kind of a weird, basketball season to begin with. And June 17th, 1994. So I guess OJ was supposed to, again, at this point, I don't really know. I'm not paying much attention to it. But now knowing we know, the police are doing investigations and now they're finding some things out. And now they really want OJ to come in and like come in for these murders. Like he's now a suspect. But at this point, I'm not even really paying attention to it, whatever. But then we're watching the finals. I remember I was in my room and all of a sudden it's like the police are chasing O.J. Simpson. And you're like, wait, what? Huh? Chasing him. You know what I'm saying? And you turn and there's like this white Bronco driving. There's all these cop cars behind him. And it's like, what is happening right now? What? Is this real? It looks like something from a movie. Because at that point, we hadn't even seen nothing like that before. And I'm like, wait, what? And it's not a high-speed chase, but it's this slow, methodical thing. And there's all these cop cars. And like, the freeways they're like, moving traffic out. It's an eerie sight to see. Just an open freeway where this guy's driving, these cop cars behind him. And then you keep watching, and then people are lining up on the sides of the highways and on the overpasses, and they're like cheering. And you totally forget about the NBA game. You don't even know. You forget everything. And it's like, is this really happening? So, and first thing you deduce is, oh my God, he's running, so he killed his wife. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Are they going to kill him? Is it about to be a shootout? You know what I'm saying? And I can't explain to you. If you're a young person and didn't see this, it transfixed everything. You sit there watching this. And the news people, they don't even know hardly what to do. They're just like, so he's still driving and they're still behind him. Because it's, like I said, it's not like a high speed, but I had just never seen that many cop cars and one car ahead of him driving. And so finally he pulls into his house and there's this long standoff and you don't know. And then there's reports he might have a gun. What? He got a gun? Is he going to kill himself? And the whole night is just surreal. and he finally gives up. They arrest him, and so you're thinking, this is insane. Like, what? O.J. Simpson, the football guy, like, and it wasn't like people hadn't murdered people. We knew that, but a celebrity this big, I just don't remember it being. And in the way it happened, it had everybody's attention. And it was this like, well, what's going to happen now? Like, I guess he's going to jail. You know what I'm saying? I guess they're going to. So then I'll never forget to, let me get it up right here. I believe it was Time Magazine. And sorry, y'all, I should have already had this. Yeah. So then he goes in and they take his picture and all that. And the Time Magazine has his mugshot. And it's this dark fading they do on it, and he just looks like, it's hard to explain. Go look up the Time Magazine cover of OJ, his mugshot. It's just like, wow, this, so you just think everything that just happened, like, man, that's nuts. Wow, I guess that was a crazy moment in American history. I guess OJ's, I guess he's going to jail. I can't believe it. You don't know why he did it, what happened, because you didn't really know a lot of the things we found out about him at that point. The general public didn't. And it was just like, man, that was crazy. And fam, we ain't even close to crazy yet. because then he goes in and he pleads not guilty. And so now it's like, oh, okay, not guilty. Oh, so did he do it? I'll say, so maybe he didn't do it, because you just, you assume, and then finally, I don't know how we hear it, but then some of the audio he's talking about when he was in the Bronco and he wants to kill himself, well, why would he want to kill himself? Why would he run if he didn't do it, But he's pleading not guilty. That's like, okay. Again, we didn't know much about, it wasn't no court TV back then. We didn't know much about procedures like that. So it's like, well, did he do it or did he not do it? So now you want to get into the case because it seemed like cut and dry, his wife got killed. He starts running. They arrest him. Mugshot, game over. Pleading not guilty, though, was like, oh. And now we start to really unfold because this is literally the trial of the century. Like, if people say that, in any kind of, they think that's hyperbole. That's not hyperbole. This became the trial of the century. Judge Lance Ito, Robert Kardashian, Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Chris Darden, Marsha Clark. These are people now that you had not heard of before this and became a part of your life because this trial went on for a long time. And again, it wasn't like you would just, Siri would alert you to what's going on. No, you had to check in. And it became part of the daily, it's like, you get your orange juice in the morning, you eat your breakfast, check on the OJ trial, check on the sports, all that. You just every day because there was all this stuff coming out. And this really started tabloid TV and coverage and celebrity, there was celebrity gossip stuff, but not like this. This really exploded it because there were so many different layers to this. And Al Collins, who's Al Collins? Kato Kaling, who the guy was at OJ's house and he said he heard something or what? And it is just, you cannot put into words how big a circus this thing was. And at the end of the day, 2 people are dead. So if he didn't do it, somebody did it, because they didn't kill each other. They didn't kill themselves. Somebody did this. And it is just crazy. And so the trial is going on and it's just more stuff coming out. And then there's another big name in this, and that is Detective Mark Furman for the Los Angeles Police Department. And I'm going to tell y'all right now that it's like this. I remember I can't remember if it was Newsweek, some publication. They showed where they allegedly had found blood of the victims, allegedly by OJ, that was like dripping off of him, or that he had brushed on things and stuff in the time that he had left the murder site and went home. And when I saw, and again, it's hard to even, because I don't know if it's accurate anymore, if it's even up where you can find it at, but I remember looking in a magazine and seeing where they allegedly said they found blood everywhere. And I remember thinking like, hold on now. Because the way the markings were, it was as if OJ, if it was him, it was as if he was just running around the neighborhood, just smearing blood everywhere. And I just remember, even I was young, I was in high school, going into college. I just remember thinking like, come on, fam, that's why. I was like, who does that? Like, it wasn't as if it was a straight line back to his home, because what they say happened was he murdered him, he went back home, and they got on a flight. But it was just blood that the LAPD said they found in so many. Say, was he running in circles? And then why was he over there? Why would there be blood there? I just remember looking at the diagram like. And so what we then find out is OJ's defense team. We don't know these people at first, but he's got literally the dream team. They call them the dream team. These are the best lawyers. Johnny Cochran becomes, a name synonymous with, defense attorneys, all these guys. And they are, ready to go. Marsha Clark, Chris Darden are the prosecuting attorneys. They feel like they're ready to go, and they're going at it. And listen, I know this is taking a long time, but what you need to do, if you're really interested in what I'm saying, if you haven't, there's a documentary. It's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, easily. It's called OJ Made in America. Watch that, and you will see you'll literally see his whole life in this whole trial and all of it. His defense team, Okay, so let me get into some other things real quick. Okay, so here's the thing with O.J. Simpson, and I'm gonna say this, and I mean what I say and I've said this for a long time. Um, so O.J. Simpson, there was a time when I would say right now today, Tiger Woods is the most beloved black man by white America in history. Okay, and I'm not trying to like be as a detriment to Tiger Woods. I'm not even saying that as a detriment to white America. I'm just saying Tiger Woods is the most beloved black man in the history of America. Okay, by white America. Okay, and I'm not saying, understand what I'm trying to say. You know, I'm not saying because Tiger wants to be white and white people want him to be white. I'm just saying that's what it is. Okay, I've never seen a black man more embraced and praised and cherished by white America than Tiger Woods. But before Tiger Woods, it was O.J. Simpson. Okay, and O.J. has a very famous quote where he says, "I'm not black, I'm O.J." And so, you know, OJ wanted to transcend race for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons he wanted to. And a lot of people in the black community felt like, you know, there's a word black people will use a lot of times, sell out or whatever. They feel like he might have sold out. Again, watch the documentary. There's a lot in that. I'm not really here to adjudicate that. I'm just telling you the fact. And I know it seems weird, like that's just my opinion of it. Fine if it's my opinion, but I'm telling you my opinion in this is fact. OJ was more beloved by white America than anybody up until that point. Not saying that he was white, but he was a black man, but loved by white people. So he then went deep into that, and a lot of people, there was time when OJ was playing, it was a very tumultuous time in the 60s when he was in college and all that. He purposely kind of shied away. There's that famous picture of Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, a lot of those protesting for rights, and OJ didn't want a part of that. Again, that's his choice. I'm not even here to knock him. I'm just trying to give you the juxtaposition of where we were with who OJ was at that point, you know what I'm saying, in America. And so there's a key part even in the trial with Johnny Cochran. They bring the jurors to OJ's house. And OJ's house was a shrine to him and a shrine to his celebrity, which he did love. Johnny Cochran and the crew, they take a lot of those famous pictures down. They put up all this black art, black history, which was not who OJ was. But that's what they were trying to appeal to. Okay, is like, look at this black man and look what they're trying to do to him. And so it's fascinating. And let me try to cut to the chase. What happens then is the verdict comes out, right? And I remember by then now I'm in college, my first year in college. And when the verdict, we don't know, I remember hearing once this long trial gets done, I remember hearing the jury went to deliberate and then they came back and it seemed to be a lot faster than everybody thought they would come back. And that's usually not good for the defendant. And so I remember thinking like, oh boy, this is not good for OJ. I really didn't think it was going to work out for him anyway. And so they come back. And I remember, I'll never forget, I'm in class. I'm in my college class. I'm sitting in the front. And I don't even really know when it's, I remember like there were some people gathering around waiting. I had to go to class. I didn't have time for all that. But a lot of people were waiting for this verdict. And I'm sitting in the front of my class. I'm the only black person in my class. My professor is talking, and when the verdict came out, I'll never forget, a kid literally ran into our room. He opened the door into our room and ran in and yelled out, "He's not guilty!" And he just kind of says, he's like, "Not guilty." I'm sorry. That's all he says. He's like, "Not guilty," and everybody knew what it meant because everybody knew at some point they were going to the verdict. And I'm very, very transparent with y'all. When he said "not guilty," I remember I was like, "Ah!" And then I caught myself because I remember nobody else said that. There was a lot of like, it was gasp. And I was like, "Ah!" And I caught myself. And I was like, oh. And it was like very awkward. And we had about 10 more minutes of class. And I remember I just walked out very quickly because, you know, that's what it was. Now, let me get into why I did that. And now let's really talk about it. The reason why I had that reaction was because, you know, If you would have asked me, did OJ do you think at that point, if you asked me, young college student, did I think he did it? We were really split. A lot of people were split. And there were days I thought he did. There were days I thought he didn't because I was watching the trial, and the glove thing, the gloves didn't fit. Johnny Cochran, if the glove don't fit, you must quit. That was huge. I was like, yeah, if the glove don't fit, you got to quit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And finding out who the lead detective, Mark Furman, was, and he was a racist. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And like I said, it seemed like they planted evidence on this man. And it was a lot of things, but at the same time, these two people are dead. Who else would have done it? O.J. Simpson, okay, abused his wife. He did. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no denying that. Unfortunately, God rest his soul, it seems like Ron Goldman might have just been wrong place at the wrong time. If you understand the story, I don't want to really get to salacious parts of it, but seemed like he was really just bringing those glasses back to her and might have been caught up in the situation for whoever did it to him. But at that point, I did not think he did it. So I was glad, like, good, they vindicated him. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes. But a lot of people were like, he definitely did it. And then it really kind of became more than that. It really did. It became a racial issue. It became a black versus white. And a lot of white people could not understand why black Americans were so glad, rejoicing in the streets, literally they were, that OJ got off. And if you watch back to the reaction, go YouTube it. The reaction to the verdict. And it is as split as night and day. And people are just beside themselves in one group. They're excited. There's black and white people watching together, and you can see the reaction. And a lot of it was because for black people, we did not realize at that point that, they've got to actually prove you did it. We're just so used to just, if they think you did it, then you did it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was usually like. Like, don't matter what they got to end. That goes to the famous Denzel Washington line in Training Day later on. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. We didn't know that, they've got to, out of reason, shadow of a doubt, they got to prove that you did it. They have to prove it. They just can't say you did it and just because we think you did, you go to jail. But we were used to that. Like, everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of black people, most of us, were aware of some situation, if not a situation close to us, if not a relative of us, if not us, to where something was unjustly done to you by the judicial system or law enforcement system, or done to somebody or done to a relative, okay? At some point, we have had brushes with the law that we felt were unfair, okay? And we felt like if we had a different skin tone, would not have happened to us. I can say that. I've talked about my situations with law enforcement in times. I've talked about having guns in my face for things I didn't even do and was minding my own business. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, it became more about, not I don't say all of us didn't care, but it didn't matter whether we thought he did or didn't. We just wanted to see, let's keep it real. We just wanted to see a brother, get done right, or get done right in our eyes by the system. And when they said not guilty, we were like, as much as OJ had kind of distanced himself from the African-American community, once he was on trial, he was back home, baby. You sit right here, you back with us. You black again. You not black, you OJ, well, you black now, brother. And he was back one of us, and one of us, wow, they said not guilty. And we learned a whole lot more, even more so after the trial, okay? And it became this, it even became even more bigger. All the lawyers, all the stuff. Now, OJ was found, I want to be on the record, OJ was found guilty in a civil suit, which is a different thing, but he was ordered to pay money and all that. And, of course, they still trying to get that money and all that. So he was found not guilty in the criminal suit, but the civil suit, he was found guilty. But the civil suit doesn't equate to prison time or anything like that. And again, I'm not trying to say O.J. Simpson was a saint because he would go on to do some other things. He did do some prison time for even more just things that he shouldn't have been doing. So whether or not, now if you ask me today, Do I think that he did? It's always for me just if he did not, who did? You know what I'm saying? Who just randomly killed these people? And then there's some people that there's a lot of conspiracies out there. But to me, all signs point to him. But it's not about whether or not he see people got mad at OJ. It's like look what you did to get off. But really, you have to be mad at the legal system because to me, in that courtroom, they did not prove beyond the shadow of a doubt. It doesn't matter. They did a bad job of proving. They made a lot of mistakes. Again, watch that documentary. They made a lot of mistakes. The prosecution and the defense jumped on it, and that's what really court. When you go to court, you find out. God forbid you ever have to, if it's a trial or something big like that. It's really it's not what you know. It's what you can prove. And they did not prove it. I'll tell you the honest truth. As much as I feel like O.J. Simpson was responsible for the murders, if I would have been a juror, I would have said not guilty. I would have. If I sat through that trial and the way they presented things and what, I would have been like, no. And again, the detective being racist, planning evidence, all that stuff, I'm like, you can't, no. That's not, I've got reasonable doubt now. And that's what it was. But people don't want to really separate things. They just look what OJ did. Oh my God. And that's, and again, I'm not saying OJ and him after this whole trial, you would think he would be more humble. He would be, it was really more of kind of a kind of icky feeling about him then because he just kind of went way left with stuff and he wrote this ridiculous book, If I Did It. It just became a lot of pandering, but you cannot underestimate what this did for society and culture and how we view things through a lens of critical thinking and understanding. It really didn't improve race relations at all. It really did. It just kind of shed a light on, who we are and really under the surface of the facade of, oh yes, no, we're all together. We really saw that we're not really together. And OJ, it again, this if it had been somebody else, if it had been a different type of, but I'm trying to explain to y'all how beloved he was by everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's not because even now, you look at like a LeBron James, who is overall people I believe rock with LeBron James, but very criticized for a lot of stances. He's taking a lot of different stances, and well, he should. It's his right to do that, but not as beloved. LeBron is taking some political stance. See, OJ didn't take those political stances like that. He didn't align himself with a lot of the issues that were facing Black Americans, especially. So as LeBron James did. So that's why I can't equate. That's why I said Tiger Woods, because Tiger Woods just kind of stayed out of that. And again, I'm not even criticizing him for that. That's his right to do that. He stayed out of it, and he's kind of just played golf and had his, and that's really his right. So that's why I say he's more beloved even now than OJ. But that's what it was like. So it would be like if Tiger Woods, he's had his own issues, but if, God forbid, if he had committed a murder but you got to go back to the 90s, back then, that's what it would be like. Okay, so he's now passed on, and it was kind of a surprise. I didn't even know he was sick, but at that point, he'd be on golf courses, and I kind of just avoided OJ basically because there wasn't really much that he said that I wanted to hear overall. But yeah, he passed on, and it's been about a week now since when I'm taping this. A lot of things came out, a lot of pieces were written and things, and how should we feel about him, or how should we feel about the trial? And a lot of those people are gone now. That were major players are not prominent anymore. And if you feel like justice was not done, that's a fair assessment. If you feel like justice was done, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just giving you my slant on it and kind of how I feel like what the temperature was back then. It seems so long ago where we are with social media and all that stuff, but yeah, man, that was a huge thing. It's big. Like I said, it literally was the trial of the century. It was everything in it that you could imagine. But yeah, I guess now with him passing, it's some kind of way to move on. Not that people were updating him about him every year after that, but when you would see him, you would just kind of like, still. So, yep, guys, that's the show. Lot on this one. The first one, we got more coming. They're already in the can. They're already taped, already ready to go. But I wanted to start with this one because it was kind of a prevalent thing and hadn't really ever spoken about him or that case before. But check that documentary out, OJ Made in America, if you're more interested with that. But we will be back. This is the Mighty Sharp Network. All right? And I know what you guys have to do. You know what you have to do. And that is be blessed. Stay sharp.